Before you toss out recycling, wait! I'm Captain Creative, and I'll show you how to turn these into this.
Here are the supplies you will need.
Let's start out with soaking the moss. Once you decide on what container you're going to use, you'll want to prepare your moss. So we're using this little small container today, and it's got about, I would say, 1.5 inches of base. You'll want to use more moss than you think you'll need. We're just gonna smush this all together here. And it does kind of break up a little bit, you can see. While we let this soak, we're gonna head over to the plant and cut what we need. You can see here that I have already trimmed this once before, right here. And the stalk continued to grow out of the node area. But this time, I'm actually gonna cut it one back so that this doesn't continue to duplicate itself. And I'm wondering if the reason why I'm getting these stringers is because this actual vine is in the front of the plant and not really towards the light. So if I cut it back here and I kind of push this back a little further, I'm hoping that it will grow back that way and it will grow towards the light. When you cut, you'll want to cut in between the nodes. I usually cut right in the center. Once I bring this back to the table, I'll show you how I cut it up and how I lay them all on the moss. You need a lid that's a little bit taller here. Instead of using it this way, you'll actually want to flip it around and use it upside down. The nice thing about containers like this that come together is that you don't have to use any kind of tape. Whereas containers like this that have a flattened edge, they'll go together very well. The only thing is they slide around. So here's another example of a container that you can use as a mini desktop greenhouse. Yes, it's a chicken rotisserie container, but rest assured, it is fully degreased. It has been through the dishwasher, top row, and the top part, this plastic bit, I didn't put in the dishwasher because I felt like that's just the wrong kind of plastic. But the bottom part went in the dishwasher, so it came out fully degreased, didn't smell like any delicious rotisserie chicken. And it comes with its own little vent holes on the top, which was really nice. But as you can see, the plant decided to grow in the other direction because this one over here, I had another stalk on this side, and that one didn't make it. It turned black and got moldy and started to rot. So I took it out in the hopes that it would not transfer into this other side. And so far, so good. Knock on wood. I haven't had any issues with this. Because this water is really brown and kind of gross, I'm gonna pour it out and do another round of clean water. I feel like it helps keep a lot of the bacteria content down that could potentially cause rot. Second soak. You can see the water is still slightly dark, but it's a little more clear. There's just a lot of little bits floating around in there. So then you want to wring out the moss, but you don't want to wring it out completely dry. And you can see it still kind of sticks together. Now keep your bowl with your moss handy, because after we lay all the stalks in, There's going to be a chance that you might have to add a little bit of water to your moss depending on how dry it gets. So this looks pretty good. You don't want to pack it all the way down, but you don't also want to be able to see through the bottom. I'm going to cut in between each of the nodes, and each piece will be left about, I would say, 2 inches or so. Let's get to cutting. Keep trimming. You can see that the stalk kind of has a slight V shape, and the nodes are actually pointed down. They're all lined up. All of the nodes are pointing down toward the moss. You want to make sure that there's enough moisture on the moss to where if you pick it up, it's not going to pool out the bottom. This is the one that I've done. So I cut that one just like I did the other ones here. You can see that a root grew from one node and a leaf grew from the other one. So the plant knows how to turn the node into a leaf or a root. If it's not given an option, it's going to have to do both. Once they get a little bit more exposed to light, this andasandi will start getting a little bit more holes in it. You can see this little guy right here. The last thing we're going to need to do is put the lid on. So I use electrical tape because I feel like it's a lot more pliable and it doesn't pull on the plastic. And you'll just basically take it and just form a seal around the side, but make sure that you leave a courtesy tab so that you can easily get into it. There are times where you're going to have to do some maintenance. If you notice that some of the stalks are getting black and moldy, you'll want to definitely pull those off and pull those out. Oops, I forgot one. Can't forget this one. Stick you in there. There. All right. Now you just want to seal the edges really well. It'll keep the moisture in. It'll keep the air that we have in here. There you go. You got yourself a nice little desktop greenhouse. Now you just have to wait for it to grow. I hope that you look at your recycling bin as an option to grow more plants. And this way we have less plastic in the landfills and more greenery in the ground. You should check out my channel. Excuse you. Yeah. You want to come? Okay. Captain Creative, making cool out of clutter.